This is scripting part one. Let's get right into it. So first, the things first. Before you do anything, you're going to need access to the GitHub. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into the Discord channel. You're going to drop your email in this channel called GitHub Emails. Once you do that, I'll be able to add you to the GitHub, and you'll have to check your email in order to accept it. As you can see, these two have not accepted. Once you have GitHub, I recommend downloading GitHub Desktop. If you're going to do this through Git Bash or something else, you're probably going to have to watch some other tutorials though. Once you have GitHub Desktop open, you're going to want to select whichever branch you're pulling from. You're going to want to fetch the origin, and then push or pull, depending on whether you're sending code in or getting code out. That's the basics. That's all you need to know for now. Anything else, you should just ask us. Okay. So here we have an example project, and we're going to make a basic script for one of these objects. So first things first, we're going to want to create a new script. So we're going to go ahead and hit create, and then monobehavior script. We can call this whatever we want. I'm just going to call this script 1. Once we do this, give it a minute. We can open up, and we have two things in the script. Start is basically what happens in the first execution of update. This will happen as soon as the program starts. After that, you will find update. Update is called once per frame and will basically just loop over and over again. Alright, let's try something basic. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a for loop in the start method. What I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to create a for loop that will loop 10 times. Once this happens, I'm going to do dot log error hello world, and then end with a semicolon. You have to save with Unity, so remember to press Ctrl S before you do anything else. You'll see this little bar pops up, you check the console, and it says we have an error. If this happens, you will not be able to run. So you will have to fix the error before you do anything else. Alright. Once you fix the error in your code, and in this case, it was because our log did not have a capital L, you'll see that there will be no errors that appear in the console. Don't worry about these yellow ones and these white ones, they don't mean anything. You'll see that it runs fine. However, you can also see that our hello world does not appear anywhere. This is because we have to attach the script to an object. So we have our script here, and I'm going to attach it to the sphere. Now if we check the sphere, we can see that it has the script attached to it. If we play again, give it a minute, and we go to the console, we can see that our hello world is being logged in the console. Okay, let's go over how to make a variable for your script. So if we open up our script here, what we can do is we can create a new public variable. I'm going to just create an int called x. We're going to save this by pressing Ctrl S. And if we go back and reassign the script to the sphere, we can see that we are able to assign its value in the inspector before we run. So if I assign x to 5, x will be 5 for that object. I can assign x to 9. And if I attach this script to another object, I can change its value there as well. If we want to create a more complex object, such as a vector, and we can save this again. Let this load. We can see that if we go back to our sphere, we will have different types of variables that we can assign values to. In this case, we have an x, a y, and a z. The next thing that I'd like to go over is colliders and rigid bodies. These are extremely important for the physics of objects. If we press run currently, give it a minute, you can see that these two objects will behave with physics. How do we do that? We use a sphere collider and a rigid body collider. What each of these does is that it gives the object physics. For a sphere collider, or any sort of shape collider, it will give the object a shape, a radius, and a center point. What isTrigger does is it makes it so that the object doesn't actually have physics, and it just detects when stuff touches it. Provides contacts will send messages when something touches the object. We will be using this in this project a lot. A rigid body is what allows things to collide. We can have a mass, and we can have damping, and we can we will often use automatic tensor and automatic center of mass. However, due to the nature of our game, we will not often use gravity, and we will sometimes use akinematic. So for any object that has physics or that you would like to program, you will need to attach both of these to it. Alright, let's go over some more complex functions and how to create them. So I've pre-coded a script here, and I'm going to explain how it works. So we have created three variables here. We have created a game object, box prefab. In this one, you can assign an object in the inspector, as you can see here. We can drag and drop any object into this space from either here, or you can select it from here. We've also created a spawn interval. This will represent the time of how many times we spawn, how much time it takes to spawn one sphere. This is also the spawn area. This is the area that we want to be able to spawn in relation to the root object. In the start function, we're going to call something called invoke repeating. What this does is it calls a function every x amounts of time. We can just put 0f here for most purposes. We're not going to do anything in the update function. And then we are going to create an extra function called spawnBox. What this does is it creates a vector, and it takes in a random position of a random x, a random y, and a random z in both the negative and the positive direction. And then what it does is it creates a new box, and it will instantiate this, creating it in the scene. Let's run it and see what happens. As you can see here, random spheres will start popping out. There you go. There you go. Another one, and another one. That's kind of fun. But these more complex scripts, I'm guessing that a lot of you didn't know the syntax for this sort of thing. Let's go over how to do that. Blocks. So to open building blocks, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click Meta XR Tools, Building Blocks, and you'll see them here. You can also drag this into your top bar. So these are all of the different things that we're going to be using in our project. However, these are very basic versions, and you'll often need to put in scripts if you want to do more complex stuff. For example, you can see that I've already dropped in a camera rig, and attached to the camera rig, we have controller trackers. I'm going to delete this for now, and I'll show you how to put this into your scene. So what you want to do is you want to click this button here, and you want to go to your scene, and it will appear right here. You can drag this around and put it wherever you like. It's represented by this little object right here. When you build to your headset, you will take the perspective of this camera rig. We can also put in controller trackers, virtual hands, grab interactions, etc., etc., etc. These two boxes here have some grab interactions. This one has the normal grab interaction, and this one has the touching hand grab interaction. The difference between these is that your hand will wrap around this one. but it will not wrap around this one. It will just go straight through when you grab it. For controller tracking and hand tracking, we can also use the real-life hand tracking in order to take in the data from your hand, and we can use this for posture detection. We'll be using this for stuff like the dash. You can also use your real hands, virtual hands, or controller tracking. And once again, to do that, basically you just import it into the scene by pressing this button, and then you'll press this button to pop it up in your inspector. Next, I'm going to teach you how to build to your headset. So whether on Unity 5 or Unity 6, you'll have something called build settings or build profiles. These are the exact same thing. Don't worry about it. Since we're building to a headset, or specifically Meta headsets, this will be on Android. This is why you need the Android build support when you install Unity. If your headset is plugged in, which mine is not, anyway, if your headset is plugged in, you should be able to press refresh, and you'll see your headset here. If it doesn't appear, you will likely need to go into your headset, and there will be a message that pops up that says, Enable USB debugging. You will click this, and you will enable USB debugging. If it still doesn't appear, that likely means that you haven't installed your ADB drivers, and I would recommend going back to the installation video. Once you do that, you'll click Build and Run. I'm not going to do that here, because it takes around 3 or 4 minutes for the first time around. Lastly, let's go over some more complex programming. Specifically, how to get someone else to do it for you. In other words, ChatGPT. So we're going to create a new ChatGPT prompt, and we're going to tell it exactly what we're doing. I'm developing a Unity 6 VR game. It is utilizing the Meta All-in-One SDK as well as the Meta Movement SDK. It is very important to tell ChatGPT exactly what you're doing, or else it's going to think that you're doing the wrong thing. I am currently programming in C#. How do I, and then we'll ask it, how do I change the color of an object called, object 1. And you can see it'll drop the script right for you without you having to do any of the research yourself. Now, since all of you are rookie programmers, I'm going to highly recommend using ChatGPT to help you, especially on some of the harder tasks. Now, we'll use one of my old ChatGPT logs to help us. This prompt that you see here will be in the Discord, and this will help you. It will help the AI train itself to be able to help you. You can see that its memory is updated with spawning boxes and destroying boxes, etc., etc., etc. Now I asked it, can you show me how to use the move towards function, which allows an object to move towards an object with the tag player. And you can see that it will find an object with the tag player, and it will move towards it. How do you attach tags? Well, if we go back to our scene, and I click this, you'll see that there is a tag up here. This allows the program to find your object if there's a lot of objects named that or something along those lines. Another thing that you can use ChatGPT for is for error detection. Another thing that you can use ChatGPT for is for error detection as well as finding different methods of doing what you want to do. You can see here that ChatGPT gave me different scenarios of what to use in different events. When it creates an error, you can see that I'll tell it exactly what the errors are and give it my code. And then it will tell me what I did wrong and how to fix it. All right, that's everything for now. Thank you for watching Scripting Part 1. I hope to see you at the next meeting.